know what this kind of product can do, Darren has a great testimonial. Darren, are you there?
I'm right here.
All right, it's all you.
So I was, introduced to it, and because I have, I've had 37 plus years of chronic pain from a hip injury. I've had 8 hip operations. I've had 3 total hip replacements within that 8. And between my 7th and 8th operation, I went 17 and a half years without a hip on my left side. And of course, when I got my last hip put in, that was April of 2013. The pain didn't go away. I was still hurting really bad because, you go that long without a hip, which is a major part of your body. You have a severe limp and severe, I guess you can call it misery with, my back and stuff. I couldn't stand straight. I couldn't escape the pain and stuff. If I sat for a long time, I hurt. If I stood for a long time, I hurt. If I tried to sleep, I hurt. I just couldn't get away from it. And when this was introduced to me, and I heard, the story I heard was Neil's story about what it did for his Achilles tendon. And I said, if it takes half my pain away, I'll be extremely happy. Wasn't expecting what happened, and got the product. And, we were new. It was the oral spray. So I took 2 sprays under my tongue, and, my wife sprayed 3 spots on my back that were really bad. We sat down and watched an episode of our show, and 45 minutes later, I stood straight up. I wasn't standing like a caveman. I didn't hurt. I was walking really good, and had a huge smile on my face, and I was like, holy smokes, who can I call now? So the first person I called was Chip, and then I called Dave, and, I couldn't really call anyone on the East Coast because it was late at night, but 45 minutes and it was gone. And I've literally tried everything my entire life to get rid of it. Chiropractic care, massage therapy, acupuncture, cold laser therapy, CBD, nothing ever touched it. And this touched it. In fact, it's still, I forgot to take it yesterday until last night before I went to bed. And then I slept like a baby. And the thing is, I wasn't hurting yesterday, but I also want to keep it fresh in my system and stuff. So make a point that, when I walk by the counter, there it is, so I only use about 2, maybe 3 times a day at the very most, but, I feel great. I've got more flexibility. I'm able to walk distances. I'm able to do things I hadn't done in a long time. I not that I sit for long periods of time, but, I'm not, when I stand up from, laying down, sleeping, or even yard work or things that I'm doing, I don't hurt. The only time that it came, and it wasn't even near the same amount, but when we were in Florida, I was a little uncomfortable, but nothing like it had been before. So it really works.
Good afternoon again. I just would like everybody to spend a few minutes with us. Rik Deitsch, as you know, who is one of our scientists who has created some amazing products in the past, has now created another product for us. And he's going to give you a short dissertation with a slideshow of what that product is. So Rik, it's all you.
I'm a biochemist. I'm both a nutritional and a pharmaceutical biochemist. I said at the beginning, as a nutritional biochemist, I formulated well over 50 different dietary, I probably up to about 100 different dietary supplements over the years. I've conducted about 60 clinical studies in the use of dietary supplements for health and wellness. I've published dozen of papers. I've written 2 books, RUI, Age-Wise, A Guide to Healthy Aging, and Invisible Killers, which is all about the toxin environment and how they affect us. As a pharmaceutical biochemist, I run Nutrapharma. We have drugs for the treatment of autoimmune diseases, primarily multiple sclerosis and rheumatoid arthritis. We have done studies in viruses, primarily HIV and herpes, and studies in the treatment of pain. We also have new intellectual property in the treatment of Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, and we should be, fingers crossed, I'm hoping to have the rabbit models done by September, October of this year. So if it does well in the rabbit models, we will have the newest drug for the treatment of Lou Gehrig's disease, and that's a really big deal. And then we also have our technology that we use in MS, modifying it. We're now working with the Department of Defense, looking to potentially stop the use of nerve agents or stop the harm of nerve agents like sarin gas and ricin gas as an organophosphate nerve agent countermeasure. And so fingers crossed with that, we should have a DoD contract soon to use our technology potentially in the battlefield, especially because Russia is now tweaking their nerve agents to work around atropine, which is the treatment they use now. And we believe our treatment could actually work with atropine or instead of atropine as a much broader agent for those nerve agent, those horrible organophosphate nerve agents. So when Howard's talking about my work in graduate school and postgraduate, I not only worked with cone snail venom, I use that as the kind of segue into cobra venom in my work with the Plus Relief. But I also worked for the Duke University Comprehensive Cancer Center, and I worked for the lab that was Gertrude Elian's lab. Gertrude Elian really made pretty much all of the drugs we use today to prevent rejection of organs. So it's all for organ rejection. But that work was in camptothecin analogs. And camptothecin was actually invented by Monroe Wall, who invented Taxol. So I worked in Gertrude Elian's lab, but I worked with Monroe Wall's people. And so we worked with a drug called camptothecin. Camptothecin worked in rats. We cured rats. You give me a rat with cancer, we could cure the rats. We give it to people, it killed the people. So we found out a couple things. First of all, rats weren't people. At least people weren't rats, at least not all of them. But we had found out, my job was to find out what was different between people and rats and why it cured cancer in rats and didn't in people. And we figured it out. It was because the human serum albumin was different. And our albumin, which is like a sticky transport protein, was sucking up the drug, dropping off of the kidneys and blowing up the kidneys of the patients. So I worked with the team that made the analogs to the drug to try to prevent it from sticking to human serum albumin. So we made the drugs that eventually came to market: irinotecan, topotecan, and 5-hydroxy-7-methoxycamptothecin. So those are chemotherapies that are available today, and they came from that research I did in graduate school. So I've been working in drug discovery and dietary supplements for over 25 years now, and formulated well over 50 different dietary supplements and several drug products that are in clinical research. But some of the foundations for my work started with me working with venomous animals. In college, I worked with cone snails, which are venomous snails in the ocean. And it's kind of cool if you never heard of a venomous snail. It sits in the bottom of the ocean. It sticks out its tongue, which looks like a worm. When a fish gets close, it stabs a fish, injects a paralytic venom. And once the fish is paralyzed, it drags it and eats it. So I studied these cone snails in college and graduate school and came up with several potential drugs for that. In fact, the first drug I ever worked on was launched as Prialt, Prialt, which is originally an extract of cone snail venom. But then I started working with cobra venom, and cobra venom as a concept, as a drug product, goes back well over 100 years. But my work more recently, over the last 15 years or so, has been how can we safely utilize proteins, peptides from cobra venom for the treatment of pain, disease, as in autoimmune diseases, antiviral applications, and as I said, in pain as well. So that led us to our homeopathic treatments for pain, which we're launching now in Avini as Plus Relief. So I'm going to share this. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. And we're going to talk about this concept of how this works. How do cobra venom peptides work in the treatment of pain and inflammation? So let's do, Michelle, can you do that? So first of all, understand what it is. So Plus Relief is safe, it's non-narcotic, it's non-addictive, and it's been clinically proven. In fact, we have 47 published human clinical studies on these levels of cobra venom on the treatment of pain and inflammation. It's non-interactive with other medications, and it doesn't impair cognitive function. And as I said, it works not only in treating pain, but also in inflammation. I'll talk about how that works. So the way it works is as a pain reliever, it's a 10,000-fold dilution of Asian cobra venom from what we call the Thailand cobra, the monocled cobra. This ingredient is listed in the Homeopathic Pharmacopoeia of the United States. It's got over 100 years of study behind it. In fact, in some of the clinical studies, in these 46 published human clinical studies in several animal models, it worked even when opiates didn't. And there's a reason for that, and I'll go into that. It works in a broad range of pain. And in the clinical study, there was an emphasis on cancer pain arthritis. I'll talk about that as well. In our published rat model, it actually showed that it was superior to morphine, lasting 4 hours longer than morphine and 600 times more potent than morphine on a molecular basis because you need so little of it. Now, I'm only going to speak for about 10 or 15 minutes about this, and there's a lot of information on these slides, but we are going to make these slides available to you because you're going to see there's tons of information on these slides. So it is a non-prescription, over-the-counter, anti-inflammatory and analgesic. And it's made for stage 3 pain. And I'll explain that. The World Health Organization has what they call a 3-step pain ladder. Because the understanding is if you have chronic pain, you're going up a ladder and it's going to get worse over time. So step 1 is what they call pain on a scale of 1 to 10, pain from 1 to 4. And step 1 pain or stage 1 pain is usually treated with over-the-counter drugs, aspirin, Tylenol, things like that. Once you get into stage 2 pain, that's where you might need a low dose opiate drug or prescription drug. That's from 4 to 7 on the pain scale. That's stage 2. Stage 3 is considered intractable pain. Stage 2 pain, let's go back. Stage 2 pain from 4 to 7 is defined as pain that interrupts your sleep and or your work. That's stage 2 pain. Stage 3 pain is intractable pain, which requires medication to be able to function. So the amount of stuff that's in this and plus relief is actually for stage 3 pain. That's as much as a 7 to 10 on a 10-point scale. It's a stage 3 moderate to severe pain medication. And the main ingredient is alpha cobratoxin. And as I said, it's diluted 10,000-fold. So there's the doses we use in our products anywhere from 30 to 140 micrograms per milliliter. We have patents on its use in using cobra venom to treat pain. And it's effective against pretty much all types of pain. But we talk about joint pain, muscle pain, neck pain, arthritis pain, repetitive stress, neuropathic pain, including back, headache, and migraine pain. You're going to see that's available as an oral spray and a topical gel and a roll-on and a squeeze bottle. So let's talk about types of pain because this is important. There's acute pain. That's where you have a traumatic injury, you just broke your arm, something like that. This product is not really meant for acute pain. It's really meant for chronic pain to be used over time. Now, when you look at chronic pain, pretty much every over-the-counter medication you get is for what they call nociceptive pain. Those are the nerves on the surface that deal with, you got a cut, a scrape, something like that. That's nociceptive pain. When you get into deep in the body, we have visceral pain or neuropathic pain. Most over-the-counter drugs don't treat that kind of pain. And in fact, a lot of opiates don't even treat visceral pain. In fact, visceral pain, the only time a man experiences visceral pain is if they're shot, they're stabbed, or they have kidney stones. Women experience visceral pain during childbirth. It's labor pain. So when a woman says, "You've never felt like this," she's right. You've never felt like this as a man. So women do experience visceral pain in that way. Now, the mechanism of action of the cobra venom and plus relief is so far upstream in the nervous system that it deals with all forms of pain. So it doesn't matter if it's visceral pain, neuropathic pain, nociceptive pain, you're going to get some relief from plus relief. So this kind of shows, we have a whole comparison chart that basically shows what the active is, the targeted relief, it's chronic and temporary relief. It works better over time, which is important. In fact, every other pain medication on the planet, over time, you grow more and more resistant to it. So you need more and more and more to get the same benefit. With these products, it works better over time. Your body grows more and more sensitive to the product, not resistant to it. So you need less over time to get the same benefit, which is interesting, but I'll talk about how that works. It's not addictive. It's safe for long-term use. It can be used in combination with other drugs. In fact, the mechanism of action is so wildly different than every other pain drug that it's synergistic with every other pain drug. So I tell people, if you're already on a pain protocol, stay with that protocol. Keep doing exactly what you're doing and add the plus relief to your protocol. And over time, you're going to find that you can wean down or take much less of your other medications. And in fact, many people get off of all their other medications in favor of this. There's no smell, no heat, no cold in the topical gel, just these peptides that deal with pain and inflammation. So when we talk about the level of relief versus other products and the side effects and severity, you can see when you start with low pain, you're talking about aspirin, ibuprofen, naproxen. That's between 1 and 4, or step 1. You get to step 2, start going low dose opiates all the way up to step 3, which is high dose opiates. And all of those are addictive. They cause all sorts of side effects like kidney distress, liver problems, constipation, depressed motor function. There's so many side effects with all these other drugs. We see none of that with the plus relief. Because it is a homeopathic drug, it is considered a drug. There are a lot of claims we could actually make for it as far as treating pain and inflammation. Much different than dietary supplements where you're not allowed to make those claims. So how does it work? And I know this is going to look really complicated to a lot of people, but when you look at the nerve, when you look at neurons don't touch. There's a gap between them called a synapse. And you have the presynaptic neuron and the postsynaptic neuron. And what happens is a neurotransmitter will fly across that space and attach to the receptors on the postsynaptic neuron. When those neurotransmitters attach, they open up those receptors to allow ions to go through. That's what the electrical charge is that goes through the nerves. So we target something called the nicotinic acetylcholine receptor. And in fact, we're so specific, we only target the alpha 7 subtype of the nicotinic acetylcholine receptor. That particular receptor is in the central nervous system, but it happens to also be on white blood cells that cause inflammation. So we modulate the signal that goes through the nerves, but we also modulate the inflammatory pathway. So in this case, we're modulating the acetylcholine receptor. Normally, 2 molecules of acetylcholine have to attach to that receptor. And we see it, I think you can see my mouse here, and here is where acetylcholine binds. That opens up this channel and allows ions to go through. We block that channel. It completely blocks the channel, but not well. It blocks it on again, off again, off again, on again. So what happens is it modulates the signal that goes through that nerve. And this is important. It doesn't turn off the signal. It doesn't increase the signal. It modulates it. And because it can't be broken down like acetylcholine can be broken down by an enzyme called acetylcholinesterase, it's a much more efficient way to modulate that receptor. By doing this, it truncates big signals. So big signals become little tiny signals. Normal signals, heat, cold, pressure, the feel of temperature, all that stuff will be unaffected. But pain, which is a really big signal, becomes a little tiny signal. And for people that have already used the product and have chronic pain, they can tell you it's really a very interesting phenomenon because the pain is still there. You just don't care anymore. It's such a small signal, you can function. And because it's anti-inflammatory, it's actually helping heal the issue as well, because most pain is caused by an inflammatory cascade. So if you look again, we can see what the molecule actually looks like. Okay. And as I said, the protein peptides and plus relief target the same neurotransmitters as acetylcholine and has a neuromodulatory effect, basically turning down the volume. Now, the typical dose, as it says, between 30 and 140 micrograms per ml. So people are saying, is that enough? Is that enough to actually have a benefit? Well, if you look at Botox is dosed at 0.33 nanograms per ml. So we're actually 480,000 times more concentrated than Botox. So it is a lot. A very little bit of peptide can go a long way. That's my point. So when people say, is it enough to have effect? It certainly is enough to have an effect. This is a highly diluted active pharmaceutical ingredient in the homeopathic pharmacy of the United States, made under GMP. So we're allowed to actually make these health claims for the product. And that's really important. So as I say, it is available as an oral spray and a topical gel. We recommend the oral spray for systemic pain. That's large areas of pain where you don't want to slather gel all over your body, like your back, head, neck pain, things like that. If you do have rheumatoid arthritis, osteoarthritis, we do large areas of osteoarthritis, we recommend using the oral spray. When you start using the oral spray, it will take as much as 5 days to maximize benefit as your body gets more and more sensitive to it. But that's where we talk about backaches, headaches, joint pain, migraines, neck pains, things like that. it not only is good for migraines, it's good in prophylaxis for migraines. So if you're the sort of person that gets several migraines a month, this is something you can take every day in prevention of migraines. That's the oral spray. And the oral spray is a pleasant orange flavor. In fact, the orange flavor we use is the same as Tang. If you guys remember the drink Tang, that's the flavor we use in the product. Then we have the topical gel. The topical gel is in a roll-on or a squeeze bottle. It's the same product in the roll-on and squeeze bottle. It's just how you like to use it. That will work in localized areas in about 20 minutes. So it does work right away. It will work better over time as you continue to use it, but there's no heat, no cold, no smell. It's unlike every other topical pain product you've ever used. It's just these peptides from the cobra venom that go in and block pain and inflammation. And when you use it, when you first put it on, it does feel a little greasy. There is no grease in the product. It's just a methicel, which is the gelling agent. Just let it dry. Put it on, let it dry. It dries completely grease-free, and it will go into your body and it will stop pain and inflammation wherever you rub it on. Some people like the roll-on because it actually, you can feel where it goes on, and it's like acupressure, and use a lot less of the product. But if you, plus you don't have to get it on your hands if you don't want it on your hands. So the roll-on is a little more targeted, but then the squeeze bottle, you squeeze it on, rub it on wherever you want to use it. And especially for joint discomfort, arthritis, repetitive stress. We've actually done studies at Nova Southeastern School of Dentistry for TMJ in the jaw and dental pain, in fact, pre and post-operative dental pain. We even have some of our people that use it in tattoo parlors. They use it before and after a tattoo, and that they heal much faster and they have much less pain when they go through the tattoo process. Not that that's our market. Okay, so as I said, there's a lot of information on these slides. And I've made the slide deck available to Neil, who will put on the back office, so you guys can go over it at your leisure as you kind of listen to what I had to say and go over it. Chip actually asked me questions earlier about the mechanism. I hope I kind of went over it now so he sees the pictures and how it works. But that is how the product works. Completely safe, non-toxic, non-interactive. Like most anti-inflammatories, it can cause mild dehydration. So if you see on the warnings, it says may induce a headache. That's because of mild dehydration. So if you use a lot of it, the recommendation is to drink water. And that's the only issue with the product.
Hi, we have Rik Deitsch on here, and we're going to do a question and answer period. So anybody have a question?
Well, Neil, I already see in the chat box, someone asked about using the word pain when talking about the Relief Plus products. And it is a little tricky with dietary supplements. Legally, you can only make what's called structure function claims, which says you're supporting the structure and or function of a healthy body or body part. And anytime you talk about pain with dietary supplements, it can only be pain due to overexertion. That's the recommendation, pain due to overexertion. So that's what you can say with dietary supplements. But as I said, this is a registered homeopathic drug. So as a drug, you can actually make some claims that deal with symptom of disease or symptom of disease. Specifically, we talk about pain and inflammation. So legally, we can say that this is for the relief of chronic pain and inflammation. Okay, now we say relief, we don't say so basically that it's a treatment. Well, it is a treatment, but it's not meant to cure anything. It's meant to relieve. And we say that on, it's not meant to cure any disease, but it is meant for relief. It is funny though, because when you think about it, most pain is caused through an inflammatory process. And as we relieve inflammation, the pain gets better and better. I'm a really good example. I didn't say this when I was talking earlier, but I have a syringomyelia, a syrinx in my back, which is kind of like a gap in the spine. The only treatment for it is surgery. And the surgery has a risk, about a 5% risk of potential paralysis. So I've never wanted to risk the surgery. So most of my life, I've had to take some sort of pain medication for my back. I've never done the opiate thing because I think for a living and I don't want to do anything that affects the way I think. But I did take a lot of over-the-counter pain drugs through my life to deal with the pain in my back. And it wasn't until we discovered the use of cobra venom and I launched my very first product in 2009 that this is all I use now. So I've never had to take anything else. And my body is so sensitive to it that I take it once or twice a week and I'm pain free. And I don't want to compare myself to Darren. I was in chronic pain that interrupted my sleep or work. I had chronic stage 2 pain. I would say every day was about a 7, between a 6 and a 7. But now 1 or less every day. And this is all I use. And it is an inflammatory process with the searings on my back. So pain goes away. I can function. I can work out. I can do whatever I need to do. And this is all I'm using.
Great. So just to add, because Darren did mention my Achilles tendon, those of you who know me know I play a lot of tennis, and going for a drop shot in January, I decided to rip my Achilles tendon, about 78 to 79% of it, they said. So that can re-heal, but if any of you have ever done that, the pain from your ankle up through your calf muscle is beyond belief. And truthfully, like Rick, I would never use an opiate. I had a back operation a couple of years ago, didn't take any opiates. I just refused. So I would say that if it wasn't for the relief I got from the Plus Relief, I would have been in a lot more trouble than I was. So it really, even though it's not for acute pain, it does work for acute pain. At least it does for me. So, Dave, you raised your hand. You want to come on?
Dave Gildick from Tennessee. I had a question for Rick. Rick, how many of the products, including the zeolite, are patented?
Actually, this is the only patented product in our portfolio. We have patents on the use of cobra venom for the treatment of pain as a use in an analgesic, but we also have patents on other uses of cobra venom for the treatment of autoimmune diseases, viruses, and the like. We made a decision when I first launched the zeolite in 2004 to not patent my process, because my process, once I patented and everyone understood how I micronized and activated my zeolite, it could be knocked off. And then I basically, for the rest of my life, I would just be suing people for patent infringement, chasing after them. So we made the decision to make it proprietary, not patented. So all the rest of my products are proprietary formulations or proprietary processes. And just so you know, I did have a lawsuit with Wayora in 2017, which I won, which defended the trade secrets of my zeolite and said it's a valuable trade secret worthy of protection. And that was under the Defensive Trade Secret Act of 2015. So I've proven that my stuff are valuable trade secrets.
Great. Well, proprietary is such a powerful word. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Hey, Rick, I've got a quick question also. On the spray, I know that Darren, sprayed it in his mouth, but he also sprayed it on his back. Is that an okay? If you only had the spray, you can also spray it on the places, and it does just as well as if the roll-on if you didn't have it.
Yeah, the spray is actually a little stronger, but the gel is specifically made to penetrate the skin. The spray isn't. The spray is meant to penetrate the buccal mucosa in the mouth. So I thought it was, funny he sprayed it in his back, but certainly you spray it on your skin if you want to. It does have xylitol in it, so it's a little sticky, but it is meant for oral use, and the topical gel is meant for topical use. But certainly you can spray the spray on your body.
Might we be able to have a testimonial page on the website someday?
Well, that's a Neil question.
We do have testimonials on the bottom of the page if you scroll all the way down, and yes, we'll be working on it, and we'll be working on some video testimonies as we go along. We're also setting up a Facebook, is it a Facebook? No, a Google Drive page that you'll be able to go to get it to get testimonials. So that'll be coming in the next couple of weeks too. So.
Okay.
Someone
Someone did ask about any results with multiple sclerosis. These products are not specifically made for MS, but I've been working with MS patients for over 20 years. Our drug for MS is actually purified, modified alpha copratoxin, which is one of the ingredients, one of the components in the Plus Relief. So a lot of people, I do recommend when MS patients are asking me for what they can use, they certainly can use this. It'll help with pain and inflammation. And one of the issues that MS patients do remark on is chronic idiopathic pain. So I have found that MS patients tend to do really well in the product, certainly for pain and inflammation, but also for chronic fatigue. A lot of MS patients complain of chronic fatigue, and this seems to benefit that as well. spray is the spray is safe for dogs. The fact is, yeah, xylitol is not safe for dogs, but that's at very high doses. The concern was when we made xylitol chewing gum and dogs get into a whole pack of gum. In fact, when we first launched the product, people were using this, spraying it on their dog food. That led us to create Pet Pain Away for dogs and cats, which is a chicken flavored gel for dogs and cats. I don't know if Avini wants a pet formula sometime in the future. If they do, Howard is shaking his head yes. That's, of course, an Avini decision. But we certainly currently make Pet Pain Away for dogs and cats. And more recently got an extrusion line in to start making little chewable treats. So we're eventually going to make little chewable dog and cat treats for pain and inflammation in our companion animals.
Hey, Vic, there is a plus release item in the $4.99 package. Both of them.
Okay, someone also asked about pregnancy concerns. Understand the warning for pregnancy is a mandatory warning on the products, and it doesn't say do not use. It says consult a physician. And it is true that anytime you have a diagnosed medical condition or are under physician's care, we recommend talking to your physician before using any dietary supplement or drug product. Pregnancy is considered a medical condition, so that's why we put it on there. But it is completely safe and non-toxic, and it is safe for use in pregnant nursing women.
We'll take a look at the $2.99 pack. It's a little difficult because of the pricing and costs involved.
Now, someone actually sent me a direct message. David, I don't know if you want me to share it, but I don't understand the question. So, David, I don't know if you want to share with the group.
Hi, this is Dave. The question is, how do you explain the response from somebody who says it didn't work for me? I didn't get any relief. I didn't get any benefit. I didn't feel it.
Yeah, 99.9% of the time, there's two things that happen. Either they're not giving it a chance, so they used it once. They got a headache. They think it's aspirin, and they think it's going to work right away. So in many cases, it does take up to 5 days to maximize the benefit. They've got to keep using it. So if you don't use it, it's not going to work. So you have to use it. The second issue is what I did mention during my talk, is that people are on other pain medications in a protocol for chronic pain, and they stop using all their other stuff and start using this, and they say, oh, I got worse. Well, that's always going to happen. There's always going to be a rebound effect when you go off of pain medication. That's why I recommend that whatever you're taking, keep taking it and add this product to your protocol. It's going to help unbelievably well. And then over time, you can start weaning yourself off the other products, off the other drugs. And I have gotten literally hundreds of people, mostly veterans. We work with a lot of veterans. But we've gotten hundreds, if not thousands of people off of opiate drugs, prescription drugs, other pain medications in favor of this technology.
So my interpretation from what you said then is that a good response would be, well, perhaps you haven't used it long enough. Keep going with it.
Yeah, you haven't used it enough or long enough, or did you come off of other medications in favor of this, in which case that was not recommended to do so.
Well, that's really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, the mechanism is a universal mechanism. It should help everybody. It's a very simple mechanism of action that should help everybody. So if someone says it's not working, then we have to investigate that.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you.
Rick, I have a friend of mine who just she has Parkinson's and is in a wheelchair, and wanted to know how the Relief Plus and also the Cell Defender, how would it impact him in a positive way?
Yeah, so Parkinson's is tauopathy. Actually, one of my really good friends is suffering from Parkinson's. It's something I'm finally looking into to try and better understand tauopathies. He does use the Cell Defender, and he feels better when he uses it. His cognitive function especially is improved. Most of the therapies for cognitive function for Parkinson's patients actually increases tremors. And so it's like they have a choice, either think clearly or have tremors. Or think clearly and have tremors, or don't have tremors and don't think clearly. So it's really a horrible kind of choice to make. But he does find that his cognitive function is greatly improved when he uses the Cell Defender. Certainly can't hurt him to use the zeolite. It's going to help everything work a little better. With Parkinson's, the big issue is that you have a loss of part of the brain. The substantia nigra in the brain is damaged. And the be all end all for Parkinson's research is always going to be stem cell research that's going to regrow that part of the brain. So knock on wood, they are doing a lot of research in that area. And I hope that in the next decade or so, we'll actually have something that reverses Parkinson's.
Thank you, Rick. If anybody can do it, it'll be you, my friend.
Rick, if you allowed in here, have you had any experience with gout?
With
Gout?
oh,
You mean
gout.
like- you
Gout.
mean
I'm
like-
sorry.
you mean
Yeah.
Like Tom Brady goat or?
No, he said he meant gout. Yeah, it's an accent. Yeah. So
Like Bigfoot.
yeah, I understand. So first understand this, and this is one of my soapbox issues. As much as 40% of all diagnosed gout is not gout. So many doctors are used to seeing a swollen toe and they immediately say gout. So a lot of gout is actually what's called pseudo gout, which is caused by magnesium deficiency. Gout itself is caused by a buildup of uric acid in the blood, and those uric crystals build up. Because of gravity, they sink down your body, eventually landing in your feet, and your body tries to solubilize them by putting fluid there to try and break them up. And so fluid kind of pulls in your feet and your hands and things like that. So the way gout is normally treated is with allopurinol to prevent uric acid formation, and with colchicine as a really very violent diuretic to get rid of excess fluid. If you have pseudo gout, all you really need is magnesium. 400, 600 milligrams daily of a decent magnesium, you won't believe how good you feel. And even if you have real gout, it could be exacerbated by pseudo gout. And the difference with pseudo gout is not caused by uric acid crystals, it's caused by calcium crystals that form in the blood. And the magnesium helps the body distribute the calcium better. And so I do recommend that anyone with gout just get a magnesium supplement because that'll help regardless. Additionally, drinking plenty of water helps keep the uric crystals in circulation. I haven't had specific testimonials on gout, but it makes sense that the cell defender will help because it's going to help the body kind of flush out those excess uric acid crystals. Gout, the best way to deal with gout is a gout diet. Gout is considered a wealthy person's disease because it's richer foods, heavier foods that are high in uric salts and uric crystals that will build up purines that will build up and create uric crystals in the blood. So follow a gout diet. If you have to, take the allopurinol, but definitely get a magnesium supplement, drink plenty of water, and take the cell defender.
Thank you.
And now when it comes to pain, I'll tell that too. Gout is inflammatory, but it's inflammatory because of the buildup of fluid. But topically, definitely rub the Plus Relief in your feet, especially feet and toes. That'll definitely help with the pain and inflammation.
Yeah, I have a question. Is this call just related to the spray? I have a question about another product. This is my first time on your Zoom.
No, yeah, listen, I'll talk about all the products.
Okay.
The topic tonight, the principal topic tonight was the Plus Relief because a lot of people didn't know about that. But yeah, I'll answer any questions.
Okay. I think the product is Defender. If I'm stating the name of it correctly, if not, forgive me. That is a detoxification of metals.
Yeah, it's primarily heavy metals and volatile organic compounds. Yes.
Okay. With that being said, but don't you lose some of the good metal as well, and you need to have something to replace it?
No, you don't. And this is in my white paper. The zeolite is really, really, really good at differentiating good metals from bad metals. Unlike other chelators, most chelators in the market, most single molecular entity chelators are charge specific. For example, EDTA takes everything out with a +2 charge. So in that case, it takes out calcium, magnesium, as well as lead. The zeolite, because of the aggregate charges on the face of the zeolite cage and the size of the pores, it really likes small, highly charged metals. It just so happens all the things that are bad for us are small and highly charged, and all the biological metals tend to be larger with a lower charge. And so it loves mercury, lead, cadmium, arsenic, tin, bismuth, aluminum, antimony. It does not like calcium, phosphorus, sodium, potassium, even at low doses, copper, manganese, boron, all the metals that are biomedical metals, metals necessary for life, are not really liked by the zeolite. They're very, very low on the affinity scale. So there have actually been large, huge studies done in ruminants, in goats, cows, and sheep, because this zeolite, clinoptilite, has been fed to animals for over 80 years in the United States. And their concern was exactly what you said. If it's removing the heavy metals and other toxins, is it also reducing the nutritive status of the animals by removing healthy metals like calcium, magnesium? And so in that huge study, actually with several studies that were published all in several years in goats, cows, and sheep, they fed all the animals the same diets they were getting, and half the animals got the zeolite. And it so happens that the animals that got the zeolite had higher nutritive status than the animals that didn't get the zeolite. So what they're saying is not only did it not take the healthy minerals out of those animals, it actually became a nutritional enabler. By reducing the amount of heavy metals that were absorbed by those animals, they got more of the good stuff. So it basically allowed them to get better value from the food they were eating. So no, it does not take out any of the good stuff. And then in humans, we've actually did electrolyte analysis over 9 months. We showed that the electrolytic status of the people taking the product was unchanged, actually improved as they used the product and not diminished. So it did not take out any of the good metals.
I have a quick question about back to pure relief. Any benefit that you can see for someone with spinal cord injury causing quadriplegia?
We don't really talk about nerve regeneration or anything like that. Someone does mention RSD, Pat Tracy, reflexive sympathetic dystrophy, which is very much like phantom pain. So RSD, the best way to describe RSD is that you had trauma. It's now fixed. There's no more trauma, but you still feel pain. And there's no reason to feel that pain. It's neuropathic pain. And yes, the plus relief will do wonders in people with neuropathic pain and RSD. In fact, I had a friend who had a horrible shoulder injury, loved to play tennis, completely rehabbed, and everything worked. And the doctor said, there's nothing wrong with you now. And he still couldn't play tennis because he still felt the pain, and simply rubbed the gel in. Within a week, he was playing tennis again, and it changed his life. He said it absolutely changed his life. Now, when it comes to paraplegia or quadriplegia, believe it or not, in these snake venoms, there are nerve growth factors in these snake venoms, and that's something that's being studied with these venom components. Does it actually benefit in regrowing nerves, especially in the periphery? And the wonderful thing about that is in the central nerves, when a nerve dies, the myelin sheath from the nerve completely disintegrates. In the periphery, when a nerve dies, the Schwann cells maintain their integrity. So there's still a tunnel for that nerve to grow back through. And so it's much easier to regrow nerves in the periphery than in the CNS. So that's something that's being investigated now, especially with stem cells. And it's something that we're looking into even at Nutrapharma. Certainly can't hurt, and it's good for inflammation. So if there's an inflammatory component to that, they can certainly use it. We are working, I'd like to talk to, if anyone doesn't know, Dr. Bryce. He's a chiropractor, David Bryce, and he is a paraplegic after a motorcycle accident, and he's had a really great recovery over time. I have given him this product. He's been using it, and I'd like to follow him over time and see how he does on it. Janelle asks, because there's zeolite in the Z-Immunity, which is a mushroom product, does that decrease the amount of cell defender we should use daily? And I'm going to say no, and it's not because I just want to sell a bunch of products. The fact is they're two different things. The cell defender is systemic detoxification. That's what it's for. The Z-Immunity is for modulation of the immune system. And the zeolite in that is actually a little larger zeolite. It's only a first pass micronization we keep as a powder. It's not a fully micronized product that we have in Cell Defender. So it's really meant for digestive benefit and for better uptake of the mushrooms. So it doesn't replace the use of the Cell Defender, it complements it. So I hope that makes sense. All right.
Hey guys, everybody have a great week. We look forward to talking again soon.